Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thursday Night Thunder here at Daytona. We've got lovely weather, track conditions. Weather's currently 64 degrees. Track temp is 64 degrees, not a lot of heat in the track. We are at Daytona International Speedway. Track length is 2.479 miles. Again, track temp is 64 degrees. Not a lot of racing on the track. Hasn't brought the track temp up yet. And we're at an altitude of 36.52 feet. It's pretty close to sea level. With the cool conditions and being down there towards sea level, we should be seeing a lot of power tonight, right, Brad?
Hey, that's right, Ron. A little bit about Daytona here. The Speedway opened in 1959, but it didn't start hosting the Daytona 200 until 1961, and these drivers are looking to make their historic mark here on tonight's race.
Well, that's a good piece of information, Brad. Thanks for that. So we're currently waiting for qualifying right now, and I guess while the cars are qualifying, Brad, what do you expect to see tonight?
Well, we've got a pretty large field here for KMA Thursday night racing, and a lot of drivers that may or may not necessarily be comfortable with driving with each other. We hope those drivers are going to take it slow, race it clean. But hey, it's restrictor plate racing, so you know something big, something bad's going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of time.
Kind of like the wreckers or checkers situation, then, huh?
Yeah, let's hope we don't have that wreckers and checkers on lap 3. But yeah, well, they're going to be fighting it out, and we got to be honest. Friends are going to help friends, but on that last lap, everybody's an enemy.
Absolutely. That's one thing that can come into play is partners and teammates on a track like this, and why, Brad? Why are teammates and friends so important on super speedways?
Well, what NASCAR has done is they've instituted the restrictor plate rule, and that kicks back the 750, 800 horsepower engine to right around 450 or so, give or take. And what that forces the drivers to do is literally draft and use that air in front of the car in front of them. And if they're brave enough, they'll get some bump drafting in on the straightaways. But you certainly don't want to do that in the turns. One guy who was actually a master at this track was Dale Earnhardt Sr., and he pulled out 34 wins in his career. And it's often been said that driver, the Intimidator, he knew how to see the air. And the driver that can see the air like that tonight is going to pick up that checkered flag.
Absolutely. A lot of knowledge goes into restrictor plate racing, and probably some luck, too, to avoid that big accident like you had mentioned, that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I don't think those drivers can have enough lucky rabbit's feet, four-leaf clovers, and little leprechauns hanging from their mirror in this race.
I would have to agree with you 110%.
Our race tonight looks like lap-wise. What do you think, Ron? Assuming we go green till the first pit stop, what do you think that lap's going to be when they start bringing it in for fuel?
I would say between 20 and 30 is what we've seen in the past.
How many laps are in the race?
We got 101 laps to go. Alrighty, looks like our field is almost set. Drivers are starting to line up. Be going through the field here momentarily.
Looks like the number 44, Blake Cannon, put down the fastest time out of the 18-car field that qualified at a 49.342.
Oh, sorry folks, I'm experiencing some difficulties here. I'm not sure why my grid is incorrect, so we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. What number did you say that was?
Showing a number 44, Blake Cannon, sitting on the pole. He's followed by the outside position of number 2, KMA favorite, otherwise known as the Reaper. It's Edward Bray. Running up third was John Rogers in the number 22, right behind the number 44, Blake Cannon. Blake W. Heather, number 13, is going to be lining up behind the number 66 on the outside lane. Number 29 is Scott Holmes, sitting in the 5th position. On his outside is going to be KMA regular Wally Thierheimer, number 57. In the number 7 spot, Gary Whittemer Jr., a new driver in RTK Motorsports Racing. In the number 8 spot, it's the 01 car, Brent Nichols. Number 98 car, driven by Bruce Cabral, is going to be sitting 9th. And to round out our top 10 qualifiers, the number 8 car, Neil Thompson.
All right, thank you for that, Brad. Those that are watching, this is the first broadcast that I have attempted. This is Ronald Klein, usually driving the number 76, and my partner in crime tonight is Brad Ream, usually driving the number 61. Brad, unfortunately, came in a little bit late and was unable to make the field. And decided he was going to come up here.
Yeah,
So,
Ron, it reminds me of a couple weeks ago of NASCAR when they invited their drivers to do the announcing and pit road interviews and whatnot, and inadvertent twist here on a Thursday night here for KMA.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, sir. So we're coming to, looks like the lights on the pace car are off. Looks like we're coming to the green flag and gonna see these guys get bunched up together and go green flag racing.
Pace car is off, boys. Buckle them up. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing at Daytona in the night.
All right, and it looks like the number 44 has gotten a nice little jump there.
Edward Bray leading the charge on the outside high lines, neck to neck with a pole sitter number 44. So far, so good. I don't see anybody really pushing too hard early on, so hopefully these drivers can race it safe.
We're going to keep it in the blimp view for now. That way we can see a good majority of the field as they run. A little bumping and bang going on there. Back in 8th and 9th.
Oh, we've got a caution. First caution out.
Got a caution out already.
We're working on the replay here, folks. Chris Hogue is taking responsibility, but we'll see. We're going to verify that for Chris.
Looks like Chris is upside down here. I'd expect he'd be getting out of the car by now. There we go. Looks like he's back on pit road, probably getting that that backup car out of the hauler.
Yeah, I would say for these drivers, way too early to think about any pit stops or pit strategies here at this point.
I'm gonna go back and see next chance we get. We'll go back and see if we can catch exactly what happened there.
I think we got a review here. It looks like the number 68 car of Rob Haynes got up into left rear quarter panel of the number 6 car, Chris Hope. That was not Chris's fault. The high line checked up. It looks like the 68 came up and unfortunately brought out the first caution. I had to go search for it, to be honest with you. But that wasn't Chris's fault. So. Highline checked up and said 68. Are we still live audio, or are you running a commercial or something?
So we've reviewed, unfortunately, again, hang with us. This is the first time broadcasting, and I haven't got the replay all figured out just quite yet. But it looks like the number 6 and the number 68 were involved in that wreck, and in the future we'll try to make sure we get you guys that information and that replay.
Yeah, it sure looks like that high line checked up for... Looks like the 43 checked up, and Chris Hogan, the number 6 car, tried not to run over him, and the 68 then we got an accordion effect into the number 6. Am I actually being broadcast on the YouTube? Copy that, Ronald Klein. I'm using my best TV voice.
That was pretty good. We're taking a look at the number 68 right now, and gonna go take a look around and see if he's got any damage or not. Not seeing a lot of damage. Good looking car though, the Miller Genuine Draft car. Kind of brings back some memories. It's kind of an old school paint job there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it got caught up there. It looks like the Highline checked up way in front of those 3 drivers that were involved in that, and that's just something that's going to happen here at Daytona when you have this pack racing. Some drivers love it, and for some obvious reasons, some drivers hate it.
Right you are, Brad, right you are. And unfortunately, we're just a couple laps into it, and we're already under caution. And I know as a driver myself, I don't really care to run under caution. What about you?
I hate running under caution. You know, all of these drivers, they came to race, not to drive around and look at each other's rear ends. There might be a few that did that, but that's okay. But you know, you hear a lot of current fans. Surprisingly, Travis Browder, the points leader here, he didn't show up tonight. He's a big Kyle Busch fan. And for those of you that are Jeff Gordon fans, and maybe you are, Ron, got a little question for you here. What year and what race did Jeff Gordon get his first win at Daytona?
Well, let's throw that out there to the KMA TV chat and see if they can answer that. I am not personally a Jeff Gordon fan. I do respect the man. Him and Dale Earnhardt were always battling it out, and Dale Earnhardt was my driver growing up. So you know, naturally, didn't really care for Jeff Gordon. But as the years went by, I realized that Jeff Gordon was quite the accomplished racer. So I had a lot of respect for him. So let's see if anybody on the old KMA TV chat can chime in with that, and I'll relay that. Looks like the lights are out on the pace car again, Brad. We're going to be going green flag racing again.
Yeah, the field is we're spread out here in the rear. It looks like Blake's going to keep the lead here and sit in the first spot on this next restart. And we are sitting here on lap 5, and everybody's got their fingers crossed that these drivers can bring home a few green laps before things get a little hairy. And they are off.
They are off.
Like cannon shot out of there.
Like a cannon.
Like a cannon.
Pun intended.
Pun passed and pun delivered.
Now, do you think that's a bad thing, or do you think that's a good thing? Because in my experience, when you get out like that, you just get ate up.
Yeah, it looks like Blake's going to have a big checkup on that bottom line there as they go 2 by 2, at least 4 rows back. In that case, not only did it hurt Blake, it hurt Blake in the 29 car as well as the 57.
Roger that, and you got John Rogers, who decided to go down to the low line and pick up the low line. Meanwhile, Edward Bray stays up top with the Lowe's car I'm not familiar with. I'm sorry, I'll have to get his name here in a minute. Pushing Edward Bray, and Edward Bray swings down to the low line.
Edward Bray here is a veteran and driving the number 66 car. He's won this race in multiple series throughout his career. And we'll see if Ed can hold this out until the first green flag pit stop.
Looks like Wally is pushing the number 13 car, Blake Hyther. I hope I got that correct. Blake Hyther. Looks like he was pushing him for all he had, and Wally didn't have much help from behind, so I'm amazed that they were able to get up as far as they were.
Yeah, those engineers back at the race shop, they put a lot of research, a lot of R&D into these super speedways, and not only because of the prestige and the fact that everybody wants to win, but if you can race good here and race fast here, you're going to be set for at least 4 races out of the year at Talladega and Daytona. Ronald, something we haven't talked about?
What's that, Brad?
We haven't talked about engine heat and what kind of tape we have on these cars. A lot of these drivers, they may get focused on the car in front of them or the turn coming up and fail to realize that, hey, their engine might be overheating like a dog in a backyard in midsummer in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that does happen a lot when you get into the pushing, and the front guys don't seem like they're nose to tail. They don't look like they're pushing real hard right now, so temperatures may not be an issue at the moment.
Ron, is there anything these drivers can do throughout the race to help the better race? Hey, we got it. Back in the back, second up.
I'm sorry, Brad. I couldn't hear you there. I had a little difficulty hearing you. What was that?
We had a spinner in the back slow up and cause some of the rear field to check up the number 8 car.
The number 8 car. We'll see if we can get camera on him and see where he's at, see what he's doing.
Looks like Neil Thompson, right around lap 9, got his left side tires down the apron, got a little squirrely.
He has taken it to pit road, it looks like, and possibly may have left the the race. So we're going to get our cameras back on the lead group here. There's still quite the battle going between Blake and Edward.
I'm not sure why the number 8 left and pulled off. Didn't look like any damage. Neil Thompson driving on the left side of Canada.
It looks like another driver. I just happened to catch it out of the corner of my eye there. Looks like he pulled off. I'm not positive, but it looked like the 999 pulled off on the back stretch. Take you inside for a ride with the number 66, Edward Bray.
This is what correct. Frederick Hofstetler decided to pull off. Not sure if he had mechanical issues or engine trouble.
We are currently riding in car with Edward Bray around this 2.4 plus mile track, and he's keeping it right down there on the yellow line. You think that's the safest place to be, Brad, out front, riding that yellow line?
Yeah, Ron, I think with these setups tonight and everybody is essentially running the same setup, that low line is going to be the place to be. That's my favorite place to be, and that's simply just because it gives me more room to avoid an accident. But Ron, you're substantially different. You like that high lane. You can tell our viewers why.
I like the high lane because it seems to give me a little better opportunity to stay out of trouble. A lot of the accidents, they go up and then up the track and then they kind of slide down the track, and usually I find myself able to avoid the wrecks by staying in the high lane, getting on the brakes and letting the wrecks go up and then come back down, but that's just my personal preference. Looks like the number 13's got a run pushed by Wally Tierheimer. Ooh, he's not quite close. Oh, whew. Hard stop there for a second, Brad. I thought the 13 was going to pull down and that was going to be it. And boy, that really made that outside lane fall apart. They're getting it back together, though.
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to pinch that low lane. I know you and I, we don't do that early on in a race, but when we're getting racy, we like to come down and pinch that low lane and try to take some of the air off that right front quarter panel. Blake they're out of Iowa. Looks like his favorite driver is 18 Kyle Busch. My personal opinion, that's just too bad.
Looks like the leaders just put a car a lap down. Couldn't see if it was the 18 or the 78. I think it was the 18. Let's go back and kind of walk through the field here.
Yeah, number 76, or 78, John Monty, he's slow. He didn't have any help on the high side.
It was a 78. Riding along with Blake in second place. Got John Rogers in third. Wally Tierheimer in fourth. Looks like Brent Nichols is fifth. Justin Cannon and Blake Cannon, I'm sorry, and Justin Michael are mixing it up for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
We've got 4 cars nose to nose, almost nose to nose in the high line, looking like they're trying to make a push as the inside lane is starting to break up a little more space in that 3rd car.
Looks like Chris Hogan at some point must have lost the draft, and he is now going a lap down to the leaders. Right along.
Chris was involved in that earlier incident that brought out that caution. He was simply an innocent bystander in the reporting of that. And Ron can explain to the viewers what that reporting effect actually is. What's going on?
Going back through the field here. It's Joseph Guy at the tail end there, and there is caution is out. Caution is out.
Well, I don't know if Chris knows that he was not the cause of that first caution, but we hate to see a fellow teammate, RTK Motorsports teammate, exits this race early.
Looking to see who caused the accident. Brad, have you got anything?
Well, Chris admitted, Chris Hogan, and the driver of the number 6, he took responsibility for it. And it looked like it was just a self-caused incident. Not sure really. Yeah, Chris just got into the wall and got loose off the wall. Not sure if that's a product of the earlier damage or a mechanical issue.
Looks like we might have some takers going into pit road this time, you think? Let's see if we can pull up this spin. I am not able to pull up that spin right now. I apologize to all the viewers. Riding along here with Bruce Cabral, sporting the Thrustmaster paint job.
Ron, we're going to take it down to John Smith down on pit road. He's with the crew chief, number 13, our leader, and on pit road, Blake Heather.
Yeah, what you say there, Chief? What you do there? Yeah, that's it. All right. The 4 tires, fuel to load them up. Oh, we came in slow. We had a problem with the left rear tire.
Yeah, it looks like the 13 car had a little problem on pit road.
Alright, and while these drivers get their service, while we've got the opportunity, we're gonna thank some people out there who make KMA go around and around every week. Starting with one of our new sponsors in the Monday Night Series, GW Graphics. And our Tuesday Night Series, we got Jason Russo and Pro Automotive. And in our Friday Night Series, we got Blaze Pizza sponsoring the Monster Energy Cup Series. I'd like to thank them all for their sponsorship and their support. Without them, wouldn't be able to do what we love doing every week. So while we're under caution, let's see if we can possibly grab somebody to talk to here.
Trivia answer for what year, what race Jeff Gordon got his first win at Daytona. It was 1994 in the Busch Clash Sprint Unlimited. And for these lady viewers out there, who was that first woman to race in the Daytona 500?
What year was that again, Brad? Sorry, I was working with my TV controls here.
That year for Jeff Gordon's first win at Daytona, the 1994 Busch Clash, which under Sprint sponsorship was the Sprint Unlimited.
All right.
Younger viewers.
That's good to know. So we have a limited amount of people here that we can drag up, and it doesn't look like our current leader we'll be able to get a chance to chat with him. So I'm going to drag in the number 2 position, Edward Bray. Give me 1 second here, folks.
Edward Bray is a long-time KMA racer. He serves as race control in our numerous series. He's out of Carolina and currently an A-class driver. His nickname is the Reaper due to his strict control over races in the KMA official point series on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays.
Hey, wake up.
For those of you that are longtime viewers, you'll recognize Edward. He's running quite a bit. He runs in a different league as well. Not only is he a great race controller, great driver, and a good friend of KMA league owner, Scott Bobak.
Error.
Looks like the lights are out on the pace car once again, and the driver's done pacing. Looks like we're going to be going back green flag racing. We have 20 laps in the books. We weren't quite to our fuel window yet, but what do you think there, Brad?
Well, that's we had a few cars come in, and those crew chiefs, they've got their pit strategy, and that's what was surprising. There was not an issue on pit road earlier. A lot of drivers who did come in took their 4 tires and fuel, and you got to wonder what is that fuel strategy? What is going to bring them that checkered flag at this super speedway?
And we'll be riding along with the number 10, David Shoup, here on the restart, and we're going to get cameras pointed just like this, and
they're off. Field spread out here a little bit as they enter into turn 1, coming into turn 2, building up that RPM and getting ready to hit nearly 200 miles per hour at this Daytona International Super Speedway. Oh, we've got a caution in the back again.
Yes we do, Brad. Can you give me a number?
We're calling up the replay on that right now as we talk, Ron. Yeah, it looks like we got a car here with some damage that turned across the nose of another car. We're going to get you that number real soon.
Looks like the 44 just got into the back of the 224.
Yeah, he sure did. That Great Clips Chevrolet, not sure what he was thinking there going into turn 1. That's Blake Cannon. That was our fast car earlier, leader, and for whatever reason he got into the rear of that car in front of him, and we thought somebody being up front, that pit strategy, He must have been a pit strategy issue. Put him in the back of that field, and that's always dangerous in a fast race car.
You are correct once again, Brad. Still having some technical difficulties, and I apologize for that for anybody who's watching out there. We will get this figured out. Give me a little bit of patience, and let me get this figured out. In the meantime, since we're under caution, and it has been just Brad and I talking, let's pull up the guy leading the race right now, Edward Bray.
User was moved to your channel.
Edward Bray, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
How you doing tonight, sir? How's the race going?
The race could be a little bit better, and if we can get some of these, stop some of these cautions. We're all anxious to get some green flag racing going on.
Yeah, Brad and I were talking about it, and we already have 3 cautions. It's not something we like to see. A little bit out of our element, so to speak. What do you think the reasoning behind the caution flags are?
Well, normally Thursday nights are open rooms or open track, so probably a lot of new drivers that might not be used to KMA's rules and how everybody else races. Basically, if they sort of take note and watch out how everybody else races, we might get this thing going green again.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
Hey, Edward Bray, you got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Ed, you're an old Carolina boy. Did you grow up in the heart of NASCAR country? And what can you learn from being a Carolina boy that you can apply to these southern super speedways?
Well, actually, from Orlando, Florida, but still the South. I've watched racing with my father. Since the first time he took me to Atlanta Motor Speedway for my first race, and definitely learning a lot from watching races. I've done a couple Richard Petty driving experiences as well, so that helps. And I've also done race enduros up at Langley Raceway, so a lot of that's helped me out here.
Now, Ed, your nickname is the Reaper. Can you tell your fans out there and those that are not aware how you got that nickname, the Reaper, out on the track?
Well, being race control and admin and all that, I take them out. Nobody follows the rules or follows directions from Scott, myself, or any of the other admin. I go ahead and take the sickle and swipe them out of here.
Well, there you go, folks. You just heard Death on Four Wheels explain to you what happens if you don't race the way KMA League expects you to race.
All right, Ed.
Ron, back to you.
I want to thank you for your time, and good luck. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you more during and throughout the race.
Thanks, guys.
User was moved out of your channel.
So as we sit here under caution, we're getting ready to go back green again. Pace car lights are off. You think we're going to get to see some green flag racing, Brad, or do you think that this is going to be a consistent problem?
Well, hey, Ron, let me dip deep into my pocket here. That's right. I've got this quarter, and I'm going to flip. And that quarter comes up heads. So I think we got a 50-50 chance of seeing some green flag racing. I'm going to put my faith in these drivers, and I do believe that they can now settle down and, hey, just lay back and relax. There's no need to try to win the race on this lap. That's what the last 2 laps are for.
Well said, well said.
Ron, do you think there's any concern here about wheel spin or tire spin on these restarts that might choke up one lane or the other?
I don't believe so, especially with the restrictor plate. I mean, you can spin the tires, but these guys haven't put enough laps on their tires for that to be an issue.
Pace car's off, and the green is out. They're going. We're getting bunched up here at the bottom lane. We're 2x2 at least, 8 rows back. The drivers are going to line up. Hopefully they'll play it a little safer this time. We've got a lot of laps to finish.
There are a lot of laps to finish, and as we're watching the front group kind of bunch up and tuck up, there seems to be a gap opening up in the middle there.
Oh, Wally Tierheimer went high and left fellow KMA racer behind. He ducked up and he took the lead. What a great move. I've got to believe that's the move of the race so far, Ron.
I would have to agree with you, Brad. That was a smart move to get him up front. I think you'll see a lot of those types of moves if we can continue to run green.
Ron, is it pretty safe to say for our fans that the safest place is to be in first place at these super high bank speedways?
Not necessarily. I've been leading the race, and all it takes is one bad bumper hook, and around you go.
So it's not necessarily being in the front, it's who's actually pushing through.
Sometimes that is the bigger issue. You know, the guy that's pushing you, if he can stay on you and keep cool at the same time, that's the guy that obviously that you want. And there are quite a few drivers out here that can do that for you. One of my favorites is obviously Edward Gray. The guy is just so smooth. He drives the same line. He knows the track very well. If he goes into the corner, he knows somebody's up above him or below him or behind him. He's very situationally aware and makes it very easy for you to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there, Ron. We're watching number 57 on the inside road. If you can keep that help from Justin Michael and keep running safe 2x2, those two might actually have something for our leaders up front there. Gray pushed by the 1-2 of John Rogers. We'll see. It looks like 68 cars tucking up behind John Rogers. That's Bob Hayes. They're trying to get that top line to push away, but I just don't think you can do that when the fast line is the low line at Daytona Speedway.
And go back further in the field here and check in with our fearless KMA leader, Scott Kolovic. Scott likes to usually kind of hang out towards the back of the field and try to stay out of the accidents. And he's currently in 19th position and just kind of hanging out in the back, it looks like.
Yeah, old Scott, he's out of Illinois. And he's a long-time veteran in these super speedways. You can race up front and be fast and put up. With the big pushes, we can race it back, play it smart, and react. And I think Scott has the skills to pay the bills when it comes to that reaction time. Numerous times that he's avoided accidents. So Scott back there in the back, although 19 sounds deep in the field, here at Daytona, you know that's not going to last at all.
Nope, as it looks like he's making a move to the outside, my favorite lane, around the number 78 car right now, and closing in on Joel Guy in the 91 and what looks to be the 45 car just in front of that.
Yeah, Ron, looks like up in front, you know, 2x2 at least 4 rows back, and I know you like that high lane. You know what the biggest difference between the high lane and that low lane is?
What's that?
That big white wall you see sitting on the track on the outside.
That
You see
outside
recently,
line,
it's
if
been
you
updated with the safer barrier to offer driver protection, and they're going to need every kind of protection they need as they reach almost 200 miles per hour going into these turns.
now it's kind of interesting because we have just crossed what would have been the window for our first pit stop, and it looks like I don't see anybody ducking off.
They wrecked in the back. Sorry to interrupt. Number 43 car was high, staying high in the high lane, and something broke loose and caused that yellow. We're going to take it back, folks. Oh, that doesn't look good at all. We thought they announced that they were going to make it through, but something happened. We're taking you back to that yellow, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like they may need to bring out some trucks here. A lot of damage in the rear of the field.
Looks like somebody was trying to get down lower for the car on the outside that was going a lap down and may have gotten into the car on the inside. Again, I gotta apologize. I don't have the replay thing completely figured out. We will get it figured out for the next broadcast, though.
Ron, do you expect any of these drivers to hit pit road for service, tires, or gas?
Absolutely, and we're seeing it right now. As a matter of fact, it looks like Edward Bray led the charge coming into pit road. We'll get on, see if we can get on to him. And he definitely took 2 tires and fuel and is on his way out, followed by John Rogers and company. Looks like he'll come out.
We got a clarification on that incident that brought out the yellow. Looks like the number 3 car of John Vinadam got into the rear of the number 98 and spinning him there up into that third lane, the number 43 car. Not sure what happened there. Haven't heard any explanation down from pit road about that incident. That's just a really tough break for the driver of the 98 car, Bruce Cabral. He was minding his own business in the low lane and just got turned. And that's how loose these cars are here at Daytona. Is there anything a driver can do to try to correct something like that, Ron?
There's some wheel settings that you can do to keep from overturning and really just situational awareness, really. Gonna head back up front to our leader.
Hey, KMA regular number 72, Ryan Kuhn. If you want to talk about a move of the race to avoid disaster, that young man took his race car, took it down into the grass, heading into turn 1 to avoid the mess that happened in front of him. Now, that young man has some wheel control. He's always racing up front in KMA league point standings. Looks like he was able to keep his car intact, and Ryan Kuhn of the 72 driving that Chevrolet still alive here for the rest of the race, looks like. Good job to Ryan.
Gotta apologize. Like I said, still getting used to this overlay. I accidentally hit the wrong button there. There's our race summary. Current leader's Wally Tierheimer. We're 35 laps complete, 13 lane changes, 4 cautions for 13 laps. That's quite a few laps under caution, wouldn't you think, Brad?
Yeah, that's and I think Edward explained it earlier why we have so many cautions out tonight. One, I think it's a product of the Speedway, but two, I think they're just drivers out here that you know, I think they're racing to impress instead of racing to finish. And generally, for those of you that are not aware, in League KMA point standing races, we just had a couple caution-free races. Not at super speedways, but at some of the different tracks on the schedule. And for this, for KMA, this is unusual, but like it was said earlier, this is an open session, and you can bring what you want to race. And unfortunately, a lot of drivers aren't familiar with the other drivers, and things like this will happen, Ron.
Copy that. Check in with some of our drivers that were in the rear of the field. Mr. Scott Kolovic. Take a look at his car and see if he was involved in any of that. Looks like Scott's got a clean car. It's a good looking car, wouldn't you say, Brad?
Yeah, that's a great looking paint scheme, and Scott always promotes the greatest of causes, and for a man our age, to promote some of the great causes that he stands for is just a testimony to his character. And I couldn't be more proud to be a member of KMA League and to race in Scott's series throughout the race. So a special shout out there to Scott Kolbag. And I know I think he's a fan of the Chicago Bears. I won't hold that against him being a Green Bay Packer team owner. But hopefully, maybe one day, hopefully at the Brickyard this year, I'll get to see him. But hey, Ron, pace car lights are off.
Big shout out to Gearhead Paint Shop for that paint on Scott's car, and you are right, pace car is off. We're going green.
A little bit of miscruise on the pylon as the gap opens up between the 4th and 5th spot up top. Looks like the inside lane now is starting to organize. The outside lane is starting to have gaps between those drivers out there. Not sure what happened on the restart.
It looks like the field's a little more bunched up this time than they were last time. There was a huge gap in the middle of the pack. It was a little bit better this time. Looks like the inside lane's got a little more energy. But I would imagine that outside line's gonna get up there, and it's gonna be some good side-by-side racing for a few laps.
Looks like John Robinson into a flaming base of black paint scheme out there is going to get a big push from the 2 cars behind him, and I think, like you're right, that outside lane is going to mesh up this 2x2. 7 cars back in a row, side-by-side racing. 3 wide. Looks like number 87, Lone Wolf, hanging out on the outside, taking 3 wide. Not sure what happened. He lost his teammate, didn't have one at all. But luckily, he tucks back into the outside line, and those drivers keep it steady. He's going to 2x2, at least the mid-pack field all the way back.
That inside line has definitely got it going right now.
I got to tell you, it looks like that number 66, Evan Bray, apparently the favorite for the race in this review, is really pulling and pushing the two cars in front of him, number 13.
I would expect to see the 57 pull out. Yep, 57 did pull out. I was expecting to see that move.
By golly, gosh darn it, I am surprised to see this, but the number 44, Blake Cannon, running up front, fourth position, in the high lane, pushing that two-liner, is back in action after being involved in that earlier last incident. What can you say about that 44? How does one make it away from the back all the way up to the front within 2 laps?
A lot of dicing around here in the field. Look like a snake there.
Yeah, what started out as a pretty large field has now been narrowed down to at least 17 cars here racing. 16 of those cars on the lead lap. Those drivers got to be real happy we're still in this business, as sometimes business can be bad and the economy of yellow flags that we've seen here today. But it looks like things have settled down, Ron. What do you expect coming up in the next 2 laps? Hardcore drivers.
I'd expect that these guys, or would hope at least, that these guys will settle down, settle in, and get some green flag racing done and have some green flag pit stops. That's all we can really hope for.
Now, do you expect any mechanical issues with this V8 750 horsepower engine pushing this 2,450-pound car around the track? Do you expect any issues with the engine, or you suppose these engineers and tuners have got these engines, these Ford, these Chevys, these Toyotas, tuned to last?
Usually, sorry about that, Red. Had to make a quick adjustment. The only real mechanical failures we usually see here are due to damage to the car or overheating it. So I don't think you'll see many, if any, mechanical failures. Actually, the whole time I've been in this sim racing, which is not very long, 6-7 months, the only mechanical failure I've ever seen at all, as we watch Wally Tierheimer get hung out to dry on the outside, 3 wide. Blake Cannon took him down 3 wide and hung him out. I believe was last week, was the first time we've ever seen a mechanical engine failure in a race. Travis Browder literally blew up on the last lap and still managed to win the race. That's the only mechanical failure I've ever seen.
That's pretty impressive on Travis's team part. I just haven't heard anything from the NASCAR officials on whether that car passed inspection. It'd be interesting to see, but that has to be quite a lead. We just got out of a 3 wide situation. Like you said, Wally Tierheimer's left to drive by Blake Cannon. Blake Cannon now up running 3rd place, pushing the the first car on the outside lane there, heading in to turn 1.
Yeah, he needs to be careful here. He's pushing on Edward Bray. I think he wants to get Edward up in front of him. And Edward is clear. He did take the inside lane. He wasn't square, and you and I both know what happens when you're not square when you're pushing somebody. So a little bit of fortune there for the number 44.
Yeah, as well balanced as these cars are, if you have that weight transferred outside of your setup by another car pushing you with that front bumper, it shifts the whole dynamics and physics of the car, the tire, the weight transfer, and it's all a driver can do, let alone to hold on to a wheel. Better yet, try to keep it off the wall. And those top drivers can do that, and unfortunately, some can't.
Looks like Mr. Cannon is going for the lead here, but Mr. Bray has something to say about it. Now, is it really up to the number 44 and the number 66, Brad, or do you think it has more to do with the number 87 and the number 13?
Yeah, I think you're right there, Ron. It's certainly those guys pushing those top two cars. After all, you know, when you're being pushed by somebody, you're going to be faster, especially these aerodynamic packages these race cars are running. You're always going to be faster than that guy that's in front of you.
Absolutely. My favorite word, absolutely. I use it too much.
No, not at all, Ron.
But I do I do agree with you. It is more about the car that's behind you pushing on you and the line that's behind you as a whole. Oh boy, that was quite the move right there. The 44 and the 87 had a run. It came down and the 87 decided he wasn't going to stay with him, bounced back to the outside, and is going to try to go for the lead here. So Justin Michael and Blake Cannon, two names that I'm not real familiar with, leading up this race right now.
Yeah, these drivers are getting a little dicey here early on. They must be making and setting up some moves here to get themselves ready to go to pit lane if necessary. But I have a feeling that number 66 has something to say about that 44 leading that race right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. The 66 is probably one of the best pushers in the business as far as I'm concerned. And since we're watching this group of guys here, I got to give a shout out to the number 5 car, Gary Whitmer Jr. Oh, something happened here.
Yeah, the number 13 car, Ron, got out of line. They ended up sending the field 3 wide, and they've spaced out now and settled down a little bit. But the big hairy moment, we got one down on the apron here on the stretch, heading into turn 1.
That looks to be Edward Bray. We'll see if they get it all collected up. We did not have a caution. I'm sorry I missed that action. I was looking away, trying to reposition my cameras. Thanks for picking that up, Brad. I appreciate that. We'll lock on to our guy Gary Whitmer Jr., currently running in 3rd. Where did he come from?
I got a feeling he's been taking some pointers from his team owner. Well, yourself, Ronald Klein, team owner RTK Motorsports and RTK Paints.
I'm
not sure what happened to Edward Bray, though.
I think he was a victim to that 3 wide situation, and sit here and watch these guys up front battle it out for just a few more seconds, and then we're going to start running back through the field and see if we can figure out what those guys are doing after that incident, see if they're going to get it gathered back up. We're just going to slowly lure away camera back through the field and see what's happening here. Ryan Kuhn all the way up to 7th place now.
Yeah, Ryan recovered nicely from that caution he avoided by going in and mowing some grass down the field there. You know, if I was a betting man, and I am, and when I'm in Vegas, I might put a few dollars on Ryan here.
Really?
Well, as a competitor of his in some of our official standings, Ryan's no stranger to racing out here. He actually races his own car up in the Northeast, in the Massachusetts area, if I'm not mistaken. So he knows his way around a real race car and a virtual race car. Sitting here in the top 5, looks like Ryan Kuhn, number 72, Honda Automotive.
I'm currently got my cameras on the number 68. Oh, we just happen to have our cameras on that. No caution. It looks like the 22 and the 91 were just involved in an incident. The 68 and the 125 were running together. The 91 and the 22 were coming up on the 125 and the 68, and looked like they couldn't quite figure out how they wanted to go and how they wanted to run, and it looks like that caused some issues. So they are currently 6.8 seconds back from the leader. Brad, do you think that if these 4 cars, the 125, the 68, the 78, and the 98 can get hooked up, that they can haul it back up to these guys up front?
I don't know, Ron. It reminds me of Bon Jovi's song "Wing and a Prayer," because I think that's what it would take to get them back up there. Maybe a late mid-race or a past mid-race caution might help them out. But unfortunately, the number 91, Joel Guy, got into the right rear of the 22 there on the push, and unfortunately, Joel Guy stuck his Chevy nose right in the inside barrier wall.
Well, I tell you what, we're back up front, and Gary Whitmer Jr. is on the inside lane making a move for that front position. They are dicing it up front. Oh, there's another spin. This one might bring the caution flag out. Caution has come out.
Oh, yeah, that looks like the 72. My bet, Ryan Kuhn was involved in that incident. He was pushing hard on the number 10 car and decided to make a move to the inside, or maybe it was the air that sucked him inside, and the Great Clips Chevy Impala behind him got into him a little bit, and there was nothing he could do but come down into the outside door of the number 87.
So we're going to put our cameras right on the number 72.
Bad luck for Justin Michael here at Daytona International Speedway.
Let's take a look at that again and see if we can dissect this a little bit better. Oh, it looks like he just gets turned from behind and it causes a chain reaction. Unfortunate, but it looks like Ryan didn't hit anything. He might actually be okay.
Well, if he hit anything, it looked like he hit the number 87 there. Well, Ron, we talked about this earlier. This, intentional or not, the number 44 race car of Blake Cannon, involved in another incident here. It's number 72, Ryan Kuhn, got onto his left rear quarter panel, as we talked about earlier. You shift the weight and the physics of that race car, and bad things can only happen. And, I would call that a race of the incident, with the unfortunate victim being the number 87 car. But Ryan Kuhn, I think, saved it, and he's going to be able to go in for some service maybe and fix that up and get back out and compete in that Haas Automotive Chevrolet.
We will see. I would agree with you, and I'll bet he does. Currently, I'm watching the number 5, Gary Whitmer Jr., taking his pit stop. He's taking right side tires. I would imagine it's just going to be right side tires and fuel as it is, and he pulls away. Now, as he clears pit lane, we're going to drag him up here and see if we can't get a quick chat in with him before we go back green.
User was moved to your channel.
Gary Whitmer Jr., you got a copy?
I got you.
Well, it looked like you were up front there. Shows you're still in first. I'm not sure how it's going to cycle in the pits strategy, if everybody pitted or not, but shows you're in first place currently. How's your race been going?
Been going pretty good. Pretty good. I like these cars. They're fast.
We were commenting, where did he come from? You seemed like you were running towards the middle to the back of the pack, and then all of a sudden, boom, there you were. Can you tell us how you got there?
I just kind of hung back for a little bit and got to lap 50 halfway mark, and then it's time to get up front a little bit closer.
Copy that. And
Yeah, Gary Whitman Jr. Hey, this is Brad. Ream up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, Gary, we were looking at a little bit of your career here. It seems to me that looks like you won here in the Sprint Cup Series Fix Series. How were you able to start in 11th and finish first in your last victory?
You're talking about the one that was from yesterday, I think it was?
Yes, sir. You must have hammered down there, driver.
Yeah, I got up front, and then a caution come out like 3 to go, and I was there when the caution come out.
Now, could you say that racing in K&B League has helped make you a better driver in some of the official series? Or maybe is it just living in Virginia down there home and racing dirt tracks and racing country down there?
I'd have to say I'd give all the shout out to KMA. It's made me a better driver.
Are you a fan of the local dirt tracks there in Virginia?
No, not dirt tracks right off. I got Richmond. It's about an hour and a half from me.
That's good to know. It's always good to talk to drivers who are a fan of racing.
Yeah, I've been to Richmond 3 or 4 times.
Got to give a big shout out right now to Scott Kolovic, number 1 for KMA and in itself, just KMA, for KMA TV, and for helping me to do the broadcasting. I've never done it before. He's been out there giving me tips on the KMA TV chat, and just want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for KMA. I'm glad that Brad had an opportunity to come up here with me. It's definitely making it easier. Scott was saying, it's difficult to do this by yourself. So having Brad up here with me tonight, especially on my first night, is kind of a blessing. And everybody out there on chat, thank you for your support, and apologize for the mistakes that I'm making, and we'll get better over time.
Sure will, Ronald.
So Gary, what's the strategy from here on out?
Try to stay up front. Try to keep it clean.
Do you have anybody that you're going to be working with? Have you tried to partner up with anybody?
I can't see right now what it's going to shake out to as far as the order, because we got lap cars in the mix of us.
Copy that. Well, we'll let you get back down. Looks like the lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go ahead and let you go. We want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you, and good luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, Brad, from one of our own, KMA, also part of our team, which is kind of funny when you really think about it, Brad. You and I are on RTK Motorsports together, and just talked to Gary Whitmer Jr., who happens to be in RTK Motorsports now. Pretty unique situation.
Yeah, sometimes you got to see the silver lining in the cloud, and sometimes I race Thursday nights with KMA, sometimes I don't. It's kind of a blessing here to join the broadcast here. Little question here, trivia question before we go to Green Flag Racing here. There are only 2 drivers that have won the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. Who are they? And if you're typing in that chat box, you type those answers in. No Google allowed, race fan information only. And we'll get back to you on the next yellows. Right now, caution light off on the pace car, and it's about ready to exit, and these drivers are looking for a big green flag run, and they are off, Ron.
Yes, they are. Here we go, back green flag race, and hopefully really praying that'll be the last caution that we have. Not a lot of cars left, especially on the lead lap, and it'll be interesting to see who gets to work with who here towards the end.
Yeah, so far we're 2 by 2, at least 4 or 5 rows back here. Looks like the inside line, we've got a three train hookup going with the number 69 car leading that charge.
It looks like the number 57 is solidly hooked up with the 68, and he's going to push him around this track. It doesn't look like the outside line has quite the energy that the inside line does, knowing that Gary Whitmer went to make a move to go to the low side, and inadvertently the 57 and 87 come up, and Gary decides to stay high. So Rob Haynes kind of, we got a spinner.
Oh,
Gary Whitmer Jr. just spun it.
Another yellow coming out. Oh, taking out a lot of the really good race cars there on the inside line.
Oh, goodness.
Well, like we said, it's a flip of the coin, and we are coining out.
So I've got her backed up, and
Oh, I feel so bad for Gary Whitmer Jr.
it looks like Gary just got loose. I'm going to back that up one more time. And I'm going to go directly to Gary Whitmer Jr.'s car and see if we can.
Ron, I've got to be honest with you. I've run Daytona here numerous times, and I gotta tell you, on cold fresh tires, I've actually had that same thing happen to me, and it's the most bizarre experience to feel that car and that right rear just lose grip, and it must be something to do with the aerodynamics package. Maybe it's the way the air changed as the leaders switched down to the middle lane and left Gary's wind wide open. But a bad, unfortunate accident for the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr.
I would have to agree with you once again. Looks like quite a few cars got tore up in that. Looking at Rob Haynes, he has an extreme amount of left side damage. Looking like he's got quite a bit of left rear damage. Right side not so bad. Hopefully he's got himself a backup car. We'll see here. We're going to follow him into pit road, actually.
Gary brought it in, and he looks like he got all that damage taken care of. He must use one of those quick repairs that KMA League Racing allows drivers, because you never know. Is it realistic? Well, depends on how you want to play it, but let's be honest. As the world's best racing simulation, these cars are subject not just to driver error, but also to internet error, to weather error, to hardware, whether it's your steering wheel, your gear shift. I've even been wrecked because one of my young daughters came down and grabbed my arm and gave me a hug goodnight. So those quick repairs, drivers got to treasure those like the gold underneath the rainbow. Otherwise, you're going to be parking your car early or, unfortunately, taking a trip to the med center, Ron.
Once again, I have to agree with you. I think we probably all have our own story about something that has gone wrong during a race. And for me, my one incident was my dog knocked my computer over, knocked the connector because I run an HDMI connector, knocked it out, and my screen just went black. And I was like, "Oh no!" And I did actually cause quite the accident, or quite the crash because of it. So we've all got those stories. Everything happened. Things happen. We all make mistakes. Even though we try to make this as realistic as possible, it is a simulation. And going back to what you said about Gary Whitmer on that restart, I have experienced that myself too. Cold tires turning in on the 1 and 2. I've experienced the back end coming loose, so it is a known issue, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. And just got a personal question for you. Is that dog the same one that ate your homework in high school?
No, I same type of dog maybe, but not the same dog. Dogs don't live that old.
And for all our viewers out there, our previous trivia question, there were 2 drivers that have won the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. Who are they? And for those of you that answered, thought, or typed in Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt, you are correct. And that's just a testimony of the skill and ability of both those drivers, open-wheeled standouts, of course, and then AJ Foyt, the number 14, my former favorite drivers, Tony Stewart's favorite number to run.
Bring up our summary again here, our race summary. Our current leader is Wally Tierheimer, same as last time actually. We're 63 laps into it, 23 lead changes, and now we've had 6 caution for 21 laps. 21 too many, in my opinion.
Now, Ron, are you expecting any pit strategies to play out here the rest of the race? Or these drivers are going to need to come in one more time? Or do you think they're good to go here to the checker?
They're definitely not good to go to the checkered. 28 to 30 laps is generally about what you can get out of these things. So I would expect to see some sort of pit strategy. Maybe just a splash of gas at the end if we stay caution free. With 36 to go as it stands right now, we'll be going back green with 35 to go. They'll still need 5 to 6 laps of fuel. So once again, while we got the opportunity, I'd like to throw out a big thanks to our sponsors. And on Monday nights we got GW Graphics, Tuesday night Pro Automotive, and Friday night Blaze Pizza. And of course, biggest shout out goes to Scott Kolovic and KMA for putting this all on.
Absolutely, Ron, and this has been fantastic. Now, it looks like Justin Michael might be in the catbird seat here if this race plays out the way we want it to, sitting second spot in the high lane. Justin, he's from Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, as his hometown. He's currently living in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And sitting, again, another driver sitting in the heart of NASCAR country. His most recent win was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where he, I correct myself, his most recent top 5 finish, Chicago Speedlane race, where he started first, finished third. Justin Michaels sitting number 2 in the high lane. Pace car lights are off, Ron. They're going to bring us to green.
And we've got Wally Tierheimer down on that inside lane. Justin Michael on the outside lane. Blake in the inside lane behind Wally, and John Rogers on the outside lane behind Justin. And we are back to green flag racing.
Looks like the 1 and 2 car, the number 2 car ducks in. Justin Michael between Wally. I'm wondering if they've worked something out, if their spotters or crew chiefs have worked something out where they can team up and maybe pull away from this field that's spread out quite a bit behind them, Ron.
It looks like to me that some of these guys are going to want to go single file. Maybe not. 125 is pulling out and going to the high side. Thought they might run single file for a few laps to try to get some laps down, but it looks like we're going to go 2 wide, maybe even 3 wide.
Yeah, I got a question. Did Blake Heather just make the move to the second half of the race as he dove in underneath Justin Michael to take the first position in the inside lane? We're going 2 by 2, at least almost 4 cars back, with the rest of the field spread out quite a bit. We're going to hope those 4 cars in the back of the field then can hook up and start to draft on each other and pick up some speed there on the low line, Ron.
Time will definitely tell. That outside line right now seems to be very, very strong. It's got it had a 4 car to 2 car advantage. It looks like we've got 3 cars now forming up on the inside line, and like I said, time will tell. But right now, if it continues this way, that outside line, he ultimately will have the advantage, having the 4 cars over the 3. Now the big game changer will obviously be if the rest of the pack can catch up.
Yeah, I was just watching the number 87 of Justin Michael, and he seemed to be pushing Wally Tierheimer through the turns there. I was a little concerned about that. Do you think Wally has enough to hold on there, or is that inside lane going to organize and just take off?
As you said that, got the number 10 car, I believe, just dropped down to that inside lane, making that the 4 car train. Now that lane, if they all get together, will have much more energy to push that front car.
Looks like the high line's going to form up here and try to take over the inside lane there as they head into turn 1 here at Daytona. Laps are counting down, and perhaps the field now has settled down to the point where we can expect some green flag racing, and to see those checkerboard moves, those chessboard moves that drivers make at a super speedway, to put themselves in position to be really the king at the end of the race there, Ron.
You are once again correct, Brad. Sorry, I got a lot of things going on here. Like I said, this is the first time broadcasting. I just got Facebook pop up on my screen, so that'll be in the broadcast too.
Well, I hope KMA League Racing here is getting some Facebook sponsorship. But hey, what we've got is we've got a slow car coming up. Looks like the field's going to catch up, exit out of 2. This is going to make things rather exciting here as the field traveling at nearly 200 miles per hour or more comes up. And then now we're 3 wide. 3, 4, 5, 3 wide, 6 cars back, and the field makes it past that slow car on the outside lane. We still got a big dog shootout between the number 13 car and Wally Tierheimer. I'm sure Blake Heather, he's really run a masterful race so far, leading this pack, and all it takes is to be smooth, and there shouldn't be any reason why he can't see himself up front fighting for that checkered flag. The high line there is really empty, and the inside lane is now organizing. And unfortunately, Wally's seeing the effects of that inside lane drafting 2 by 2 on the way back with a 5 car hole there on the heading towards the stretch there, Ron.
Interestingly enough, the Reaper had pulled off earlier for some reason or another. Not exactly sure why. He is back out there, and he is in that low lane. Now, that's a guy you want on your side.
Ed Bray, he's a guy that never says never. He never quits. And although he's 3 laps down, every lap you turn and every move you make is experience building up your resume to try to be one of the best drivers out there in the field, Ron. And Edward Bray is showing that today. So if I had a tough trophy to give, so far I'd have to give it to Edward Bray. The field just makes it past slow car in the low lane. Looks like he's blowing up for whatever reason.
And as we watch Wally Tierheimer changing lanes, he's going to go down and have Blake pushing on him, leaving the door open for Justin Michaels to come up.
Ron, you've been in this position before. What are these drivers thinking here with almost a 10-car field here, about 10-car field? What are they thinking? How are they positioning themselves to make a move towards the end there? Do you hang in the back? Do you try to run up front? Are you on the radio making friends? What are they thinking right now, Ron?
Usually it's going to be teammates talking over the radio, maybe trying to come up with a strategy, because as we spoke earlier, there is going to be a little bit of pit strategy left here. You know, they have to go in and get at least a splash of fuel. I think we said 5 to 6 gallons, so if they took, you know, maybe 2.6, 3 gallons ish, depending on what they had left when or you know, if they pitted during that caution. If they didn't, they might have to take more. So the guys that pitted, you know, they're gonna want to find a teammate or two that pitted at the same time. Some of these guys might be forced to pit earlier than they want to, and because they don't have teammates. So at this point of the race, if it was me, no matter where I am in that looks like 9-car pack, I'm trying to make friends. I'm trying to come up with a strategy, and I don't really care about where I am in that 9-car pack right now, because patience is key to winning races. First of all, you got to finish the race to win a race, and then making the right choice or the right decision at the right time is going to be key to winning this race.
Well said. Well said, Mr. Mudd. Well said. Got a trivia question for our fans out there as our laps keep ticking down here. What driver has won 105? Today we know it as the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup races, but only one Daytona 500. Now you either have to be a young NASCAR fan and researcher to know this, or you have to be an old NASCAR fan to know this question, folks. Ron, any guesses on what driver that might be?
No, Brad, I really don't. I don't have anything. I'm watching these guys mix it up here. Watching the 66 pull up to the back of the 22, and he's got the number 5 in tow. Kind of interested to see how this is all going to play out. We've got 24 laps to go. Don't know who has what for fuel, so pit strategies are going to start to come into play, and it's going to be interesting. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, somebody we haven't talked a lot about tonight's number 10 car, David Shoup. His favorite track there is Motor Mile Speedway, here racing in KMA tonight here at Daytona International Speedway. He's got a pretty impressive resume here on iRacing, and he is slowly but meticulously made his way up front to the pack, and maybe that's no surprise. His favorite speedway is Talladega, although he is one of the Virginia boys out there racing tonight. So that's number 10, David Shoup, out there running number 1 in the high line. My fear for some of these drivers is, do the KMA boys team up to make sure a KMA driver wins this race, Ron?
I believe in the end, KMA will work with KMA, and that's what I'll leave it at that. I won't say much more.
Yeah, I don't think you can overstress the importance that teammates may have and teams have at a super speedway as the field's coming up to a lap down car going in and coming out of number 2. It'll be interesting to see how these drivers handle it. The high line, the lap car goes high, it goes 4 wide there before things settle down, and the field handling that very well. Hopefully that lap car down driver can suck back into that pack and help one line or the other there get around.
Taking a look at the number 78, John Bunton. Looks like he may have fallen off the pace. Looks like he's found a friend in the number 98 car who happens to be a few laps down, but he does have somebody to work with, but they've fallen off the pace by quite a bit. Searching around the field and seeing where everybody is. Got Lee Ryerson Jr. sitting in 8th position. Got Gary Whitmer Jr. in 7th. John Rogers in 6th. Blake Hyther in 5th. Wally Tierheimer in 4th. Rob Haynes in 3rd. Justin Michaels in 2nd. And the number 10, David Shoup, in 1st. So we're getting to 20 to go. Brad, if you're in the car, are you ready to go at this point? Is it go time for you yet?
You know, if I'm sitting here, and I have to be honest, Ron, it depends on who's right behind me. And if I'm deep in the field, who's right in front of me. But right now, 20 to go, I'm settling in. I'm talking to my crew chief about what are we going to do on the next green stop if we need to. I hate to interrupt my commentary, but we're 3 wide as we go into the 5th place position, going 3 wide, heading into turn 1 and 2, coming out of 2. Can the field handle it? Or somebody out there setting themselves up for a pit road exit and a splash of fuel? That's the number 68 car who decided to go 3 or 8. Rob Haynes there has went highline, dropped back. Not sure if he dropped back on purpose or if he dropped back to set himself up strategically to enter pit road. But Ron, going back to what you're saying, no, I'm not worried. It's still early, and it doesn't matter if it's a 10-car field or a 43-car field. It's still too early to worry too much. If I'm down to 15-10 to go, then I'm going to start getting picky and aggressive. But on the other hand, it really depends on if the field and myself need a fuel pit row strategy there, call.
I agree. Personally, I don't think it's quite go time yet, as we see the number 10 of David Shoup take the inside line. Now, I did see that move where it went through wide as well. It looked like Rob Haynes left the door open, and the number 13 of Blake Hyther, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, decided to go ahead and take it through wide. Oh, and he just looked like the number 10 might have come up a little bit. 13 swerved right to avoid and put himself through wide. Gary Whitmer Jr. is now moving up on the outside line with Edward Bray pushing him and Rob Haynes right behind him. So that is a KMA in a row right there. Three of those cars are KMA.
We just tuned in to Blake's spotter channel, and seems like Blake or something experienced a little bit of net code and got a little out of order there on track. But considering how well he's driven this race so far tonight, I would not expect to see him finish in the back, Ron.
It is unfortunate, and it looks like the number 13 of Blake Hyther has almost lost the draft. Is he still in it? Do you think he can still catch back up, or is it too late? Has he lost the draft?
Well, Ron, I hope he's got a live chicken in the back of that car to sacrifice to the gods of racing, because unfortunately the air he needs to catch up is gone. He's going to be lapped probably within 3 to 5 laps. And if he's got that chicken, he better chop that thing up, talk to Thor, Odin, or whatever god he needs to get that draft back and a yellow flag. Otherwise, that one incident ruined his race for the evening.
I'm bringing up the running order right now, and it looks like Blake is really falling off in a hurry. So that's unfortunate. He was running very well and had a chance at a win, because you can be in 8th place with 2 laps to go here and still win the race. So that's very unfortunate. We run through the rest of the running order. You got Edward Bray in 10th, and like I said, he's up there helping push people. So that's always a nice thing. Even though you're not in it for the win, you can still go out there and potentially help a teammate.
Yeah, knowing Death on Wheels, a.k.a. the Reaper, Ed I think, would be happy finishing first on the checkered flag, despite race control showing him 3 laps down. It'd be nice to see him come down and maybe push Wally or Lee Ryerson Jr., or perhaps one of the other KMA guys. But Ed's Ed, and you know how the Reaper's going to run. He's going to race you clean, but he's going to race you hard. His style kind of reminds me of Ryan Newman out of the NASCAR Cup Series. Difficult to pass, but is going to race you clean no matter what. But we have number 5 still here leading the race, Gary Whitmer Jr. of RTK Motorsports, of all places. A little shout out to that team, Ron.
Absolutely. My favorite word. And I know Scott will be giving me a hard time for saying it, but I just can't. I just love the word for some reason. But it is a great pleasure to watch the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. running up front. Got Edward Bray, who's a KMA teammate, to his outside, and Rob Haynes, another KMA teammate, to his outside as well. So might be looking at some strategy here, maybe getting these guys in a line for these pit stops, because these pit stops are going to be coming up here pretty quick. Like, I'm actually going to switch over to blimp mode for our viewers so they can see if people do pull off, and I'll try to get the cameras on them as quickly as possible. We've got 13 to go. I would assume from what we were talking about earlier, Brad, there's they're gonna have to pit with probably 6 or less to go. Some of them, maybe sooner for some others.
All right, we're going to see definitely some action here at the end of the race. Not just some driving action, some brainiac action as those crew chiefs calculate those how much fuel they need and when they need to pit. Definitely seeing some moves in the inside lane. Looks like Edward Bray taking the lead despite being 3 laps around. Wally Tierheimer is going to take a shot to the outside and hook up with KMA teammate Edward Bray. Makes you wonder, do they have enough fuel to get to the end? Or, Ron, do these drivers definitely need to pit?
I cannot say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that they have to pit. That we went green with 30 plus laps to go, so I just don't see how they can make it.
We're going to have an interesting setup coming up here, Ron. Sorry to interrupt, but we're going to look like the field's going to be 3 wide with 2-on-2 pushing in front of them, perhaps fighting to stay a lap on the lead or at least going laps down. It'll be interesting to see how the field handles this slow traffic going into the turns, especially when setting up some pit road action. Here we go in the front stretch. We've got cars about ready to go another lap down, and the field
going to be interesting right here through the trial. We'll see if we can get through.
3 wide, folks. 2 by, 3 by, 4 by wide. The field's going to make it through. Looks like pretty clean. Nice job by those drivers out there still remaining.
Absolutely. See, my favorite word again, Scott. I got to work on that, Brad. I overuse certain words too much, so I got to work on that.
Ron, you know there's a drink out there. It's called Absolute. I think it's a vodka. Not sure if you're a fan of vodka or not, but we need to fight for sponsorship, I think.
Well, some interesting developments are going on right here.
All right, Edward Bray's dropped back in the high line. Got a little loose, a little squirrely there. What's Ed Bray thinking right now, being 3 laps down? And then all of a sudden dropping back. Is he just making room for those guys to be able to pit, or what?
No, I don't think that was intentional. From what I saw, it looked like a door was left open, and somebody went and went through that door. Is from pretty much what I saw. So don't want to be doing that this late in the race. Got to be careful not to make any mistakes or enemies. Okay, and here we go.
All right, here we go. Green flag pit
68.
stops.
Let's get on the 68.
Lead pack is all out of order as they head into 1, almost going 3 wide as they line up back into 1 by 1, 2 back wide. John Rogers' car and getting a little squirrely heading into pit road. Ron, how important is it to pit safely, not just safely, but to pit on time with your teammates?
Oh, it's absolutely important. Watching these guys come out of the pit row right now, it looks like
the number 10 car is heading in for service. Probably going to get fuel. Do you take 4 tires? Do you take 2 tires, Ron? Or how do you approach this last pit stop of the race?
take a splash of fuel and go. 68 direly needs to catch up to the cars in front of him, which happen to be Wally Tierheimer and Justin Michael. Gary Whitmer Jr. It'd be interesting to see what his pit strategy is. Going to go ahead and try to find him on the track.
All right, David Shoup has exited pit road. He's merging back onto the backstretch on the back road. He only took a splash of fuel. He's got some help behind him. And for our viewers out there, the question was, what driver has won 105 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup races, but only one Daytona 500? And your answer is the historic David Pearson. That's David Pearson, old school NASCAR fans.
So what is the strategy here, Brad? I would have expected to see Gary Whitmer on pit road, but he didn't pit. Do you think he's going to try to make it on fuel?
Ron, that's a great question, because if he stays out, he's got bigger feet than I do, but those guys are hauling rocks like a dump truck from the gravel pit. You know what I mean? The field's caught up to those guys that just exited pit road. It'd be interesting to see if they hook back up. We're going to go too wide here going into one.
I got my cameras on the leader because I think he's trying to do a fuel stretch. They're doing 185, 186 miles an hour, and I know that if you get hooked up and you go with 2 cars, you can still carry close to 190 miles an hour. So I think that Gary Whitmer may be trying to do a fuel stretch.
Well, we got a car down there in the low line.
Oh, here comes Gary Whitmer onto pit road right now. See how this turns out for Gary.
Boy, Tierheimer still pushing up front. The number 87. Is Wally concerned about fuel? And can Justin Michael trust him to push him all the way to the start-finish line there, Ron?
I would think he probably can. So now we're going to have to jump up with the leaders. I don't think that strategy worked out for Gary Whitmer, unfortunately. Got 4 to go. And you got 3 cars on the inside lane, 2 cars hooked up on the outside lane, with a straggler in the back. 2 stragglers in the back. You know what? The number 13 somehow. Oh, the number 13 was a lap down, but he has latched on to the field here, so that will give one line or the other more energy. And as we get 3 wide,
they're starting to slice and dice. They're setting up their positions for the end run here. It's going to be exciting without question. 3 wide with the 87 stuck on the inside, outside 68 car, and the number 125 getting a little room. But 22 shuts the door. John Rogers, he's looking for a win. He's not looking for a backup push or position.
got 3 to go, and they're lined up single file. Somebody's going to have to make a pretty bold move here.
Ron, do you want to be Justin Michael in the 87, or do you want to be the number 10 of David Shoup, pushing that leader?
You want to be the number 10 of David Shoup.
Uh-oh, David could get trapped. He's making a move to the outside. It goes 3 wide, heading into turn 2.
3 wide.
As David Shoup just made the move of the night, or the inside lane pushed by number 22 of John Rogers, looking for a push into turn 3. High line's got 4 cars, low line 3 cars. It's going to be a battle to the finish. Let's hope these drivers can hold on to it.
Finish. It's going to be very close. It's going to come down to who can push who the hardest on this last lap. Lee Ryerson got off of Wally Tierheimer there and got a good breath of air. He can't get back to him.
Loose coming out of 4.
He is getting a little bit loose. He got a little loose through the tri-oval as well. It looks like that outside line right now is prevailing, but the inside lane is making ground.
Number 125, Lee Ryerson Jr., looking to make some moves here. Does he continue to push his KMA teammate, or does he jump to the outside, look for David Shoup to help him?
I think you're going to see it play out how it's going to play out right now.
The number 10, David Shoup, is starting to squeeze the outside of 57 and the one, and the number 125, Lee Ryerson Jr. Uh-oh, we've got KMA leaders pushing each other. Little bumping and banging, heading in. Oh, Lee Ryerson Jr. loses it.
Wally
smashes the inside to win. Inside wall.
Wally Tierheimer brings it home first, and that's the best way to wreck. If you're going to wreck it on the last lap. Be dragging these drivers up here shortly. Like Wally Tierheimer, Lee Ryerson, and David Shoup. Is that correct?
I got you. Yep. Yes, sir.
Not seeing David Shoup, so we'll grab Lee Ryerson and Wally Tierheimer.
User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel.
Lee Ryerson, you got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir.
What an exciting finish there tonight, young man. Tell us how your night went.
It went pretty good. I mean, it was a great, exciting finish. It was a good, fun race. I hung back there, played the right pit strategy for once, and did good, man. It was fun. I'd like to, thank all you guys and all pro broadcast. Well, all pro is that Pro Automotive and Pad and KMA TV and everybody else, our sponsors. Great fun race. Whew.
Absolutely, you did a great job. Sounds like you're out of breath.
Yeah, it was. I was holding my breath there for a minute. It was good, and hopefully we get a lot of guys out for Saturday for the bully awareness race. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it up there, and it was good for you guys on the announcement. And thanks to all our sponsors once again.
Hey, Lee Ryerson Jr., this is Brad Ream up in the box. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, you're out of New Jersey. Is there anything up in New Jersey, racing local track or a big track up there that can that you applied tonight to help in your podium finish?
No, not really. I mean, the streets, I played around in the streets and some back roads. We have a lot of woods, so unfortunately we can do that up here. It's not safe with major streets, but, we got Walt Stadium, which is short track, and, we got, Pocono, which they have the road course over there, which we got on and played with. But once again, it was a good, fun race.
Well, hey, congratulations to you to a podium finish, man. Great job, Walt.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job, Lee. We'll see you later, bud. Great night.
You got it, bud. Thanks.
And the man of the hour, Wally Tierheimer. You got a copy?
User
I
was
do.
moved out of
How
your
you guys
channel.
doing?
Doing very well. Well, as good as we can, or as good as I can. First night broadcasting ever. Had a great time doing it. A little bit difficult, but tell us about
A little
your
rough
night.
at the beginning. A little rough at the beginning, probably just same
User
as
joined
ours,
your channel.
A little rough at the beginning and smoothed out at the end there for us. So there wasn't a lot of cautions in the last 50 laps,
User
really.
left your
So
channel.
the first 50 were a little touch and go, or first 40 or so. But I just tried not to push too hard, and tried not to make sure that we weren't making any sandwiches out there with the guy in the front and the guy in the middle, the guy in the back. Because that causes havoc. And I wanted to thank Justin, because Justin and I were working together, trying to do, we weren't always together, but we were working together at the beginning and then working together at the end. I kind of hung him out there trying to, we were going to go up to the high line, and I kind of wavered a little bit, and I didn't want to get up there in front of Rob and cause an accident. So I kind of left him up in the outside, and then I ended up winning it, and he ended up not in the top three. So I had to thank him and appreciate all the help he gave me.
Hey, Wally, this is Brad Ream up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do, Brad.
Hey, Wally, you're out of California. Is there anything out in California, racing? Otherwise, NASCAR racing is not really known for the California, but is definitely popular in the Carolinas with its roots. Is there anything out there in California that you applied, that you maybe learned out there racing that you could put together to the race tonight for a big victory?
No, you know what? I just got involved in this stuff about 5 years ago, and on sim racing, and I got in this 3 years ago. So I haven't done anything on real tracks or real racing, but we got Irwindale. It's about 10-15 miles. One of the tracks here on iRacing is Irwindale, and another one, Auto Club, is about 30 miles to the east of us.
Okay, looks like back on the 5th there, you finished 4th at Talladega in the official series. You started 3rd, finished 4th. Is there anything you learned from Talladega that you applied to the race tonight to help you get that checkered flag?
Well, we've run this this car on this track on the Thursdays. I've run a whole bunch of times, and just every time that we run it, it's a little bit hairy. It doesn't it kind of reacts a little bit different in the wind than the other cars or the trucks. This one is a little different. I think that Daytona and Talladega are they're both super speedways, but they handle totally different. When you're out here in the pack, you have to really be careful when you're on the bottom here. You don't have to be as careful at Daytona or at Talladega. The apron will get you here. I know that you just got to stay off the bottom, really far on the close to the line, or you can get in big trouble.
Well, hey, congratulations tonight. How do you approach, as a victor here at Daytona, how do you approach a super speedway race? Do you approach it by, I'm going to lead out front, I'm going to be in the top 5, or do you approach it in the back and the back and react is what I call?
I am not a back and react guy. I try to be up front. I always qualify. I don't sit out in qualifications. I'm usually in the top 5 in qualifying. Daytona, I'm not the best at qualifying, but I think I started 6th or 7th or 6th tonight. So that wasn't so bad. But I try to stay up in front, away from the mayhem in the middle, because the middle will get you. You can try to be in the back, and if you have to be far enough in the back to where you miss the middle, the mayhem in the middle. But if you're in the front, generally, the chances are it's going to be behind you.
Well, you raced an amazing race. Congratulations, Wally, and we look forward to hopefully finishing in front of you on Friday.
All right, I'll be there.
Hey, thanks for your time, Wally.
Thank you very much. And I had a lot of fun racing against you, Brad. We seem to be around each other a lot in the Monday and Friday race.
Well, wait till you hear the commentary between Ron and I tonight. It's a comical routine for sure.
Great! I can't wait to watch it back.
Thanks for spending the night with us, Wally. Congratulations on the win, and you did a great job. I saw you up front all night long. Not much else to add. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a thanks to or a shout out to?
Well, thanks for you guys for doing this. This is great that you guys have stepped up and done this. Thanks to the KMA, the whole organization for putting these on. It's always a place to race with us. And thanks to Justin and for racing with me. And Chris Voiles was up in our booth spotting for us, so that was fun.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate your time, sir. Go ahead and burn the house down while we close this thing out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right, Brad. Time to pretty much wrap it up. Gonna bring up the results here. Finishing order. And any closing comments?
Well, I thought after the initial Yellow Fest, it was an amazing race. It was great working with you. It's a brand new experience for me. I had a lot of fun, and just like to thank our sponsors for KMA Racing for enabling us to do this. And if we get enough likes, man, maybe we can do it again. But it was a good time. Not as good as racing it, of course, but it was a good time.
I agree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the initial broadcast from RTK Motorsports, basically in conjunction with KMA Racing. There's really no difference between the two. RTK Motorsports is part of KMA Racing, and we look forward to getting better at doing this and doing more of this in the future. I'm Ron and he's Brad Ream, and we'll catch you next time.
And if you'd like to donate to RTK Broadcasting, new corporate sponsor. Ron, thanks. It's been a blast.